As the opening night of Luke Bryan's Farm Tour 2025 took place at Castle Airport in Atwater, California, hundreds of lovers of country music gathered there. They anticipated a night filled with singing, dancing, and small-town merriment with the American Idol judge and country superstar. Instead, many people were confronted with despair, turmoil, and wait periods of up to 3 hours simply to enter the arena, which caused some people to completely quit the event. Fans such as Jared Pimentel and Jenny Hickman chose to leave the performance rather than face the unorganized admittance process, according to reports from Yahoo News, the Fresno Bee, and Merced Sunstar. These reports revealed the logistical nightmare that plagued the concert, the tumultuous Atwater event, the reasons behind the delays, the impact on spectators, and what it implies for Bryan's farm tour and his reputation as a fan-favorite performer are all topics that are discussed in this article. An evening of high hopes that turns out to be unsatisfactory. Country music is brought to rural towns with Luke Bryan's Farm Tour, which is a well-loved annual event. The tour takes place in locations that are open-air and unusual, such as airfields and farms. The Atwater stop at Castle Airport, which was the first of 3 California dates from May 15 to 17, 2025, attracted an estimated 20,000 fans who were eager to see the 5-time Country Music Awards Entertainer of the Year perform hits such as Country Girl, Shake It For Me, and new tracks from his album Mind of a Country Boy, which was released in 2024. Opening performers such as George Burge and Drake Milligan were scheduled to perform at the event, and establishments in the surrounding area, such as Whiskey River Saloon, were looking forward to the increased foot traffic that would result from the concert-goers. Nevertheless, the euphoria swiftly turned into despair as spectators were confronted with delays that had never been seen before. As a result of inadequate admission gates and ineffective crowd management at the improvised venue, many people were forced to wait for up to 3 hours, as reported by Yahoo News, the Fresno Bee, and the Merced Sunstar. Jared Pimentel, a resident of Atwater, accompanied his wife, Michelle, and their 2 children, including their daughter, who is 9 years old, in the hopes of having a night that was suitable for families. After spending hours in the sun and witnessing the lines at the entrance transform into a massive mob, Pimentel's daughter became frightened as she was pushed and shoved by other people. In an interview with Yahoo News, Pimentel stated that people were just kind of making their way to the front. We waited for another half an hour to an hour, and by that time, both my wife and my daughter had reached the point where they were finished. A bittersweet conclusion to their much-anticipated excursion was reached when the family decided to give up and go back to their property in the vicinity to listen to the performance from atop haystacks. A similar situation occurred when Jenny Hickman and her pals, who had intended to go out for a night with their girlfriends, gave up after waiting in line for 3 hours. The Fresno Bee published an interview with Hickman in which he stated, "We could not wait. We had been talking about the concert for months. We were with a younger girl who was beginning to feel anxious as a result of all that was going on around us, so we made the decision to leave immediately. Our girls' night was transformed into a night at Chili's." The disappointment that Hickman felt was evident since the concert that they had dreamed of, which had been anticipated for months, turned out to be nothing more than a lunch at a Chili's restaurant in Merced. Failures in logistical operations at Castle Airport. The lack of organization that was present at the event was the source of the pandemonium. According to the fans, Castle Airport, which was a former Air Force post, did not have the capacity to effectively manage a crowd of 20,000 people, especially considering that there were too few gates open. Hickman made the observation that the concert organizers were ill-equipped to accommodate that large of a crowd and usher the concert-goers into the makeshift venue in a safe and efficient manner. It was reported by Yahoo News that the facility had been rented by Merced County officials, but Luke Bryan's crew was in charge of managing the event. The admittance process was a bottleneck, with fans held in queues from the scheduled 5:00 p.m. gate opening long into the evening. This was despite the fact that Merced County Sheriff Vern and 20 law enforcement officers were there to supervise the gathering. These officers included personnel from the Merced County Sheriff's Department, the Atwater Police Department, the Merced Police Department, the California Highway Patrol, and the Stanislaus County Sheriff's mounted team. Given the size of the gathering, Warnke viewed the fact that only 3 arrests were made to be a successful outcome. Congestion continued until 1:30 in the morning as people left the stadium, despite the fact that traffic advisories that had been published many days previously did little to alleviate the turmoil. What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned out to be a failure in terms of logistics due to the absence of sufficient access points and the poor flow of the crowd. The responses were mixed. Some fans remained while others left. The show was not abandoned by all of its fans. The wait was well worth it for some people, such as Tiana Vittorino from Gustine, who was able to witness Bryan in a setting that was typical of a tiny town. During an interview with ABC 30 Fresno, Vittorino stated, "I honestly didn't think he'd be coming this local. It is so nice to have him come out here and visit the tiny villages, and it is quite exciting that we will be able to get together and have a wonderful party." Just after 9 o'clock in the evening, Bryan took the stage and performed a concert that was jam-packed with favorites such as Kick the Dust Up, Play It Again, and But I Got a Beer in My Hand and other songs. The performance was a highlight for those who were able to make it inside, with Bryan's intensity and charisma showing through with each and every detail. There was also a positive outlook for the local businesses. Despite the fact that she had to work after attending the event personally, Pristine Silva, proprietor of Whiskey River Saloon in Atwater, expressed optimism regarding the attention that the concert brought. For Atwater, this is a very significant event. "This is something that we have never experienced before," she said to ABC 30 Fresno. Nevertheless, the sentiment was not shared by everyone. "From my perspective, their promoters sold the tickets, they made all of their money, and it seemed as though they didn't care about the people that were waiting in line," Pimentel said, expressing his dissatisfaction with the situation. "The residents of this town were deserving of much better treatment." He went on to say that in the event that a similar occurrence occurs again, his family might choose to remain at home. Influence on the farm tour as well as Bryan's general reputation. The Farm Tour 2025 resumed with performances at the Ponds at Harland Ranch in Clovis on May 16 and Select Farms in Shafter on May 17. The Atwater scandal put a shadow over the tour, which proceeded with shows at both locations. Because they were aware of Atwater's problems, fans who attended the Clovis event made efforts to avoid a similar pandemonium. "I was not going to do the traffic because I knew it was going to be crazy. I heard about Atwater yesterday," concert-goer Cassandra Perez said to ABC 30 Fresno. "I was worried about the traffic. The soles of these boots are perfect for walking." Others, such as Vince Lanavara, chose to travel in recreational vehicles, RVs, in order to avoid traffic and take pleasure in the ambience of tailgating. These modifications give the impression that supporters were wary following Atwater's poor management. While Luke Bryan's career has been defined by his devotion to his fans, the Atwater event is a rare era for him. His desire to bring music to rural communities is something that truly resonates with his fans, and his farm tour is geared to accomplish this. On the other hand, the failings of the organization run the risk of ruining this goodwill. The responses on social media reflected the dissatisfaction of users, with some users saying things like, "Love Luke, but the Atwater mess was unacceptable. Take care of it during the upcoming stops." The criticism underscores the significance of logistics in preserving Bryan's reputation. Kicked off in Bethel Woods on May 29, 2025, the band's organizers need to address the difficulties that occurred at Atwater in order to avoid a repeat of the situation. The farm tour's remote locations need for careful planning, particularly when it comes to seating big groups of people. Increasing the number of entry gates, strengthening communication, and managing the flow of the crowd are all potential ways to reduce future delays. Additionally, Bryan's staff, in collaboration with Livination for the larger tour, possesses the resources necessary to enhance procedures in order to guarantee that fans receive the experience that they have paid for. In spite of the fact that the Atwater show had some shortcomings, Bryan's performance was not diminished in any way. His set was appreciated by all who attended, and it is indisputable that the event provided a significant economic boost to the local businesses. Fans such as Pimentel and Hickman, on the other hand, found the evening to be disappointing, which highlights the importance of enhanced planning. In the course of Bryan's tour, the primary focus will be on delivering the high-energy and emotionally charged performances that he is famous for, while also making certain that fans are not kept waiting in the sun. In conclusion, the Luke Bryan Farm Tour stop in Atwater on May 15, 2025 was hampered by waits that lasted for 3 hours and poor organization, which caused several fans to skip the event. Those who were able to make it inside were able to enjoy Bryan's performance, but the logistical difficulties left an impression that will linger for a long time. In order to maintain Bryan's relationship with his devoted following and to guarantee that the farm tour continues to be a treasured tradition, it will be essential to resolve these difficulties as the tour progresses.